We'll do it live! Fuck it! Do it live!
Welcome to the Mouthpiece. Today's special guest will be Greg Fossilman Raymer and also Mike the Grinder Mizrachi. We're going to talk about what happened at the World Series, along with anything else you want to talk about, here on episode 13 of the Mouthpiece. Yo, we're back and better than ever. It's been 5 long weeks since we had our last podcast, so we decided we're going to go 2 hours live today with a couple special guests. We asked kind of who y'all wanted, and a lot of y'all said Greg Raymer because you thought it was going to be fun. So we're going to have Greg Raymer on the show today. We're also going to have Michael the Grinder Mizrachi, fresh off his 5th World Series of Poker bracelet. So the World Series is over. It's history. I had a really successful World Series. It could have been much, much better, but unfortunately, things didn't work out. I ended up playing 18 events. I cashed... let's see, 1, 2, 3, 6, 7 or 8. I think I've cashed 7. 7 of 18. We profited approximately 100,000. I'm going to put the numbers up on Twitter here probably by the end of the day, and then give an idea how much we made for our fans. So unfortunately, things didn't go the way we wanted it to go. As far as winning a bracelet, I had guaranteed a bracelet. I had never done that. I probably never will again because I know how hard they are to win. Our best chance was definitely the Stud 8, the last event, second to last event of the year for me, right before the main event, in which I had 2 million in chips with 17 people to go out of the 9 million. Proceeded to go 4.5 hours without dragging a pot, and four-handed lost a 2.5 million chip pot, in where I was at least 97% EV to get at least half, if not all. So that pot really hurt us a lot. Now, I talk about all that on my video vlogs on the YouTube channel. If you haven't watched the video vlogs, you should stroll on through it. So for all you people who have pieces of me, you get an actual idea of what was going through my mind on every break, the hands I played, the hands I got beat, the hands I played bad, and unfortunately, we didn't get it done. Kind of sucked. But we ran into I told everybody we were going to have a good long main event. This is going to be running for 2 hours, buddy. So I told everybody in the main event that I felt like I was going to have a deep run this year. That's all I said, and I did have a deep run. Unfortunately, a big hand came up, a 2 million chip hand, in which this guy could never call, but he called, and that's what they always do. So they don't even pay attention to the fact that I had played like one pot in 3 hours and raised the guy on the turn, because he could beat nothing but one hand, and I happen to have the one hand that he could beat. But I actually felt like I was ahead when I raised him, so it wasn't like I raised thinking I was behind, but he couldn't beat anything. So that hand happened to be he had 2 black queens. I had ace jack with the ace of hearts, and it came jack 6 deuce of hearts, and an 8 on the spades when I raised him. So I had never put in over 300,000 in any pot the entire day 5. So I don't know what he thought I had. But anyways, that didn't work so well. I was looking forward to the 3K horse. I thought I played really good at 3K horse. I actually, you're going to see my video vlog for that will be coming out also. We're a little backlogged on the video vlogs because we had to do the main event. I wanted to do the main event after the stud 8. The main event, since I went to 5 days, had probably 4 hours worth of content in it, maybe more, and we have to narrow that down. It's a lot of editing. So after that, you'll hear about my horse tournament in which I had the greatest starting table I had ever had in my entire life. We actually had a guy who was capping it dark without looking in his hand because after he signed up, he decided he didn't feel like playing. So he was trying to give away his chips, but the deck wouldn't let him for most of the day. And of course, the guy that got most of the chips ended up finishing second in the horse tournament. So that just goes to show you what table draw really means. I ended day one with 13,000 in chips. He ended day one with 90,000 in chips. Not to mention that he beat me every hand and beat the other guy every hand. So table draw is everything, and that's what happened in the horse. A little bit disappointed with that, but everybody begged me and talked me to go jump in the 5K turbo, which I didn't have as part of my package. And then somebody said, I'll put up half. And I said, okay. They talked me into it. We ended up getting 30th in that, and that was a real big disappointment. I mean, we got our money in 3-1 favorite for a little over 600,000, which would have gave us close to 20 big blinds. I was playing great, so that was a real disappointment. And then I decided to go to the Venetian because I felt I was playing so well, and that was a disaster. So that's kind of what happened with the World Series. It was a lot of fun this year. I was 100% pain-free for the entire World Series. There was a few days I came home in which I was a little bit sore, and then I would kind of jump in the bathtub with some Epsom salts and get myself to sleep. But overall, I felt zero pain for the first time in 4 years, and it felt great. So it was really weird. So going into the last 3 events of the World Series, I was like 4 of 15, and I was miserable as can be because I knew how good I was playing, especially after cashing the first 2. I cashed the first 2 Omaha 8s, finishing 15th and 17th, going to day 3 and winning 0 hands or 0 annies in like 3 hours. Really sucked. But it was a good start to the World Series, and I was expecting really huge things. And in between there, I had 2 main caches, and then I was a little down, and everybody says, well, you still got the stud 8, which is probably one of your best games, and you still got the main event. And sure enough, we got 4th in the stud 8 for 116,000, and then was a far cry from the 400,000, which was up top, which would really have got me back on my feet pretty good. But I'm happy, you know. I finished it off with a good run there, a good run in the main event, and then finished it off with the 30th place in the 5K turbo. So it ended up being a pretty good World Series for me. So I look back. We go back now the last 3 years. I've now cashed 22 of 53 with 6 final tables in 3 years. So I'm not trying to brag or anything because I don't have any gold to show for it, but it was great, you know, to say that I've cashed about 45% of the tournaments I played the last 3 years with 6 final tables, and 4 or 5 of those were in the 10Ks. So hey, for the people out there that think I can't play, well, they can go fuck themselves, as you know. But I just, this was the first year I've literally had no pain since 2013 when I won my last bracelet. I got sick in 2014, and here we are 5 years later. And for people that are just tuning into the show and kind of don't know the backstory of my injury, I I just had a severe spinal cord injury, and they put a what's called a spinal cord stimulator in my back, and that's this thing right here. So it's like an electrical device. They put a battery in my back. I could turn around and show you all, but yeah, well, fuck it. No, I don't feel like getting up. So this little electric thing here, it basically controls my whole life, and it blocks the pain signal to my brain, which has allowed me to have a life again. So I'm pretty happy about that. Also, we're going to look at what's going on for me coming up this week. So I'm going to be playing live on Poker Go tomorrow, Monday, and Tuesday at 2 p.m. And it's on a half-hour delay, so it'll probably be 2:30 my time for you guys. On day one, I'm playing with Berkey, Randall Emmett, me, and Dario and Hussein Ensan, the guy who won the main event. So that should be pretty good. Playing 25-50 with two guys that just won 10 million and 6 million, playing for 5,000 a hand. I don't know how good they're going to play. So you add that with Randall Emmett, who loves to gamble, and this should be a lot of fireworks. It's going to be a very big 25-50 game tomorrow. And the following day, we have Brandon Cantu, Berkey, Randall Emmett, a couple others. So we got two good lineups. I think, I really do think on Monday is going to be a little bit bigger game, because you're playing with two guys that just won 6 million and 10 million in the main event. So I'm definitely looking forward to tomorrow, as well as I'm looking forward to this podcast today. So that's what's going on with me. What we're going to do is right now is we are going to go to our phone call segments, and we're going to be running these phone call segments all day. But first, we're going to take a couple phone calls for me, and then we're going to call Greg Fossilman Raymer, and then we're going to take phone calls for both of us. So let's do it. Let's light up the phone lines there, buddy.
The Mouthpiece.
If you'd like to take part in our phone call segment, you can give us a call at 702-329-0480. And if you're a snowflake or a pussy and you don't want to talk to me, you can email me at mouthpiecepodcast@gmail.com. Also, follow me at the Mouth Matusow on Twitter for times that our call-in segment will be live. All right, guys, the phones are going to be lighting up. Hit it. Call on in. We'll answer your questions. We're here. We want to know what you want to talk about with me. Call us 702-329-0480, and I want to hear what y'all have to say. Oh, yeah. That's a good thing somebody just put out there. Yeah, congrats to Chris Moneymaker for making the Hall of Fame. Yeah, okay. That's a fucking joke. And David Opie, he's real good for poker. He hates the world, but he is a great player. So he does deserve, he's probably one of the best players I ever played with. But another snub by me, but that's okay. I'm happy with it. It's all good, because I don't really give a fuck about it. The only reason why I wanted to get in the Hall of Fame this year is my dad's been real sick for the last 4 months, and I wanted to do that. Hey, are the phone calls coming through or what here, buddy? Nobody wants to call me? What the fuck, you guys? Come on. You're all on there. Nobody's calling me. You know, yep, that's it. So, give us a call, and
You can talk
Yeah, I'm a moneymaker, never played high stakes. Yeah, well, not only did moneymaker never play high stakes, did he ever win another tournament? I mean, Chris is a great guy, and he's really a good player. I mean, he's 100 times better than he used to be. But I love Chris. He's a good guy, but it's just we got a call coming in. Let's hear what we have to say. Welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is Mike. What's up?
Hey, Mike. My question for you is that do you think that mathematically poker is profitable in the long run, just by itself?
Yes. If you are a person that don't really have much talent, and if you want to play mathematic poker, GTO and ICM, I do believe that in the lower stakes games you could profit playing mathematically. Yes, I do.
And the lower stakes?
Yeah, and especially online, but when you're playing bigger, and we've talked about this, live is, I just don't think GTO and ICM is that important playing live poker tournaments. But that's my opinion. I might be wrong, but I don't know nothing about either one, even though I'm learning it now. Jonathan Little's helped me a little bit with it, and I'm doing fine.
So basically, low stakes online is in your profitable.
When you hear GTO ICM, they're talking. That's more for online poker more than anything. But I could teach anybody how to make $5,000-$10,000 a month playing poker with no talent. You just got to play fundamentally solid. It's not really hard. Anyways,
how do we sign up for that?
Well, I am starting. You're going to be listening to the podcast all day today. I'll be talking about my. I have a teaching site coming out. I'm going to be teaching mixed games, split games. I'm going to be people will be signing up for my Omaha 8 or better and Stud 8 or better and split game, and they're also going to be doing a lot of no limit with some people. So stay tuned for that, and you check it. All right, we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Love you, brother. Take care.
Love you too, man. All right. That's a good phone call. Let's see. Let's take one more phone call before we call Mr. Fossilman, Greg Raymer.
We did just miss a call, so tell people to keep calling.
So let's take one more phone call, and then we'll call Fossilman. I know you guys wanted to hear us chat, and then you could call in and make some funnies. We got another call. Let's hear it. Welcome to the Mouth. What? You can't pick that up? What, did our system crash? We got a call coming in and we don't know how to pick it up. Yo, welcome to the Mouthpiece. Nope, he's gone. What happened, buddy?
The button to pick it up didn't show up.
The button to pick it up didn't show up.
It's just not there.
Yo, I'm going to fire my editor. Oh, is it still not there?
It's still not there. We're getting tons of calls.
We're getting lots of calls, but our system to pick up the phone is crashing. Why did this answer? We have to figure out why. Oh, we're back. We're back. Call back in.
We're calling
Okay. Oh, we're calling them back? Oh, well, okay. We're going to call them back. That's what we do here on the Mouthpiece when we miss phone calls. We call our people back. My man Danny's not doing a good job today. This isn't his fault. What do you guys think? Is it Danny's fault? Nobody knows. Yes, I think it's Danny's fault. He can't pick up the phone. How is this possible? We have been able to pick up the phone for 13 weeks. Welcome to the Mouthpiece. It's Mike. Yo.
Hello, Mike. This is Matthew Stoll. Hello.
What's up, Matthew? Where are you from?
Matthew, I'm from Boston.
All right. Speak up a little bit. I can't hear you.
So, okay, so I noticed you said you had cashed 25 out of 50 times over
20
the last few years.
22 for 53.
Final table.
Yes.
Right. I was thinking maybe if you lowered your cash rate, you might win more often.
Well, I did make almost 500,000 the last 3 years. So it has nothing really to do. All my cashes have been the final two tables. It's you got to make some hands when you get deep in events. So you just put yourself in best position to win, and if the cards fall your way, you win. If they don't, they don't. And the guy that won the stud 8 told me he'd never had a better run of cards in his entire life of his entire life. So, you can't overcome that, and that's all you can do.
I see. I play locally in the New Hampshire card rooms,
Mhm.
that are charity rooms, but
Yeah.
none of them report to the Hendon mob. So I have tens of thousands of caches
Mhm.
that nobody knows about
Right.
because they don't report to Hendon mob. What can I do to change that?
Go out and play on the circuit. Go out and play the circuit events. Go out and play the WPT events. Go out and showcase your talents. That's what I say. Fucking do it.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
go
All
out
right.
and play 2, 3 of them. See where you stand against the best.
All right.
All right, my man. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it.
Can I, hello,
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Can I say hi to Joey Bannock?
You sure can. You got it, buddy.
Hi, Joey Bannock. Thanks, Mike.
You got it, buddy. Take care. All right. So what we're going to do now is we took a couple phone calls, and
Let me call this guy back because
we're going to call one person back that we missed
we kept trying.
because we don't like missing people's phone calls here on the Mouthpiece. So we're going to call him back. Here he comes. This is what we do. This is what we do. This is what we do.
Hello?
Welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is Mike. What's up? Sorry we missed your call.
Hey, Mike.
What's going on, man?
I was wondering how you thought the state of the cash games were this summer.
I did not play any. I was focused on just the tournaments, but I have a lot of friends that did, and they said they were not very good.
I agree.
I mean, everybody I talked to said that they're 100 times worse than they were any other year. Now, I did talk to another friend, Kuko, who told me, well, that's because most people were playing tournaments, and they'd come in.
I think the lower buy-in brought a lot of the people from some of the smaller cash games to play tournaments instead.
Well, they are. Yeah, they are. And the thing is, but he told me that the games were really good between 1 in the morning and 9 in the morning, and because everybody that were playing tournaments were sleeping, and then they'd come in before like the restart started or before the next tournament, the 3 p.m. tournament started, and then they'd play and try and make their buy-ins for the tournaments. And but he says that's when they stunk. But late at night, he said they were good. So especially the last couple of weeks. But I have no idea. I just go by a couple of really good friends that play anywhere between 8160 and 4 and 800, and they told me the games were terrible. So.
Well, thanks for taking my call.
You're very welcome. Thanks for calling, and we'll talk to you soon. And we'll be
Take
here
care.
all day. Talk to you later. Bye.
All right.
All righty. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a few second break. We're going to call Greg Fossilman Raymer. Ready? Bump, 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 bump. That sounds like a different tone than when we called before. When it worked fine. Well, I'll just text his ass because this doesn't sound right.
Dialing him.
What's that?
We're dialing him right now.
All right. Well, let me just text his ass.
The person whom you're trying to reach is currently unavailable.
Well, why is he
Please
not
leave a message.
available? Oh, See, that sounds better. No, it doesn't. Bum, 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 bum. I'm really not a Buffalo Bills fan. I feel bad for them. I went to a game once, and I got a hat there, and I was like a big. They really liked me out there. It was a lot of fun. Yo, Greg.
The person whom you're trying to reach is currently unavailable.
Well, I mean, I was just texting with him a few minutes ago. I don't know what he's. No, come on, man. Raymer's not at the buffet, man. Give me a break. Call D-Negs. D-Negs won't answer the phone. Mr. Raymer. Mr. Raymer. D-Neg is making babies. That's pretty funny. Will I be a Raider fan when they move to Vegas? Gosh, I don't think so. I've hated the Raiders my whole life. But you never know. I don't know. I talk about it all the time. I can't see myself being a Raider fan. But you guys got to understand, we got to call. We do Skype. We're doing Skype calls, so you guys could see videos and everything. So I can't just call regular people. I mean, I could, over the phone. But Phil's with his family. It's his sister's 50th birthday today. So I don't know. Keep clicking the button. It won't pick up. Greg says it won't pick up.
We just had that problem.
We just had that problem too. Okay. We'll let him call us.
We could try that.
Okay.
It keeps telling us he's unavailable.
Let's see. We'll have him call us. He's having the same problem we were with the buttons not working. He tried to pick up, and it wouldn't let him pick up. It's because we have this incredible, sophisticated system that my man, Danny, the greatest editor in the world, has set up. I mean, look at this little set. He's set up. Everything's good. I don't know if you guys noticed, but look up in the corner. I mean, we have our Mike Matusow, Greg Raymer bobblehead dolls. We had to bring those out. I mean, here we go, guys.
I can't hear you unless you're touching the mic.
What do you guys think? The old 2005 Greg Raymer, Mike Matusow bobblehead doll. Oh, hey, Greg, what's up? Fuck you, Mike. Shut up, Greg. You got little balls. No, I don't. I got big balls. So, anyways. All right, I'll be done with those here. I have to get myself going here. I'm a little bit crazy. So, we'll sit those down there. They can sit there for a while.
We're not getting any calls from him. Is he trying
Right. Yo!
Hold on.
Here we go. Hold on.
Hello?
Yo, there he is. Mr. Fossilman, Greg Raymer. Can you hear me?
I'm not sure if we're connected or not.
Well, we are connected, but we don't know if we can hear you or you can't hear me. Let me see. I hear you, but you don't hear me.
Not hearing anything. I'm seeing some stuff. Looks like it might be connected.
Yeah, we're connected.
All right, I got your text saying you hear me.
Yeah,
unfortunately, I'm not hearing you.
Okay, yeah. Here we go again. Here we go again on our own. Moving down the road inside, I'm looking for. Yeah, thank you, buddy. You got it, Mark. We're gonna call you back. Let's see. We're gonna try this.
Wait, does he hear you now?
You hear me now? You hear me now? Hello?
Right. I don't know if it's working or not, Mike. Sorry, I'm still not hearing anything.
Yeah, not hearing anything. We're going to call you back. We're going to call you back. trying to call you back. So we troubleshooted all this before this is not working. So here we go. See, now it'll work. I think so. Okay. Greg, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Hey, I hear you now.
Hey, there we go. We're in action. So, how you doing, buddy? Where'd you go? What the fuck? It hung up.
Reconnecting. Poor connection.
Poor connection.
Poor network connection is what it's telling me.
Poor network connection.
Disconnect your iPad from the Wi-Fi.
Disconnect my iPad from the Wi-Fi. Okay, we will do that. That's probably a pretty good idea to do. Dun, dun, dun. This is what happens when you do live events. See, that's why we don't do live events, because then you have these problems. Bum, ba-da, ba, ba, bum. Oh, you guys find this funny? You think it's funny? We spent a lot of... Here we go. That's what I say to you guys. Bum, ba-da. What's ringing normally? Greg can't pick up. Bum,
The person whom you're trying to reach is
Don't
currently
say it's a
unavailable.
very poor setup. We double and triple checked this all day today, and we spent like 20 hours on this. So don't mess with me. This is actually funny. You guys are supposed to find this funny. Hello, 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 hello.
All right, I'm here.
Yo.
How about you?
Yo, Mr. Fossilman, can you hear me?
I do right now.
You do right now. We are in action.
We have no video from now. We do.
Now we have video. Okay. So everybody's like in the chat, they're like, this is hilarious. Well, that's what you do when you deal with Mike the Mouth. You get funny shit that happens. So here we are. How's it going, buddy?
Well, I think it might be all my fault. My Skype crashed twice in this process.
We're pretty sure it's your fault too, but we didn't want to totally accuse you, because we spent 20 hours getting this ready, called 10 different people, made sure it all worked, and then we have you, my friend.
Then Greg fucks it up.
Then you fucked it up, Greg, but it's okay. I don't know if you've been watching.
That's all right.
I don't know if you've been watching.
It won't be the last thing I screw up in this world.
I brought out the little Greg Raymer, Mike Matusow bobblehead dolls. You see them?
I saw that.
Yes.
I like it.
Yes, everybody. I'm like, hi, Greg, what's going on? Hey, Mike, you fucking asshole. No, fuck you, Greg. You got fucking little cojones. No, I don't. Ah! Okay. So everybody was like, they wanted to, a lot of people wanted, since it's been 15 years since we had our little craziness, and we've become pretty good friends over the years. And how's everything been?
Oh, things are fine. Nothing exciting or no real newsworthy results this summer, but at least I turned a profit, which is better than most people who go to Vegas for the summer.
Yeah, that's the bottom line. Turn a profit. You know as well as I know how hard it is to win bracelets. But if you can, as long as you kind of turn a profit for the summer, that's all that matters. And bracelets on top are good. Ellie Alezra won a bracelet this year and lost probably $300,000. In the tournaments. I didn't win one and won a couple hundred. So it is what it is. You know how that is. And so what else has been going on? I noticed I didn't see you much this summer, but you were probably playing the no limit events. I was playing the big mix games. I saw you in a couple of mixed tournaments. What'd you play mostly?
I love all the other games. I mean, No Limit Hold'em is my least favorite game.
Mine too.
But the The problem is all those other games that we love so much, the draw games and the stud games.
Yeah.
They don't make great tournament games.
Right. Well, the thing is what a lot of people don't understand about, let's just say the 10Ks, okay, is they give you so many chips. Now, granted, they're hour-long levels on day one, and you got to make it through day two, but there's a lot of play in them. And if you could get out of day one with like 130, like double starting stack going into 90-minute levels, it really gives you a lot of play. And you could end up where in the old days you had to play a lot more hands. You can play a lot tighter, and you really don't have to win that many hands because the levels are so long, being at 90 minutes. So even though it was really tough for me in the 10Ks all year up until the last couple, I ended up cashing, I think it was 3 out of 8. But I was 1 for 8 going into the last couple. So you know how that works. So it's if you don't cash the 10Ks, you're going to have a losing summer if you're playing them. And lucky for me,
I get that. And there's obviously, it's not that all those games when you're playing limit poker don't involve skill, but of course what happens in any limit tournament, like even you look at the 50K back when it was just horse.
Right.
It was 5 days long to go from 140 players to a winner.
Right.
But by the time we got down to like 40 people, the average stack is going to be like 15, maybe 20 small bets.
Now
that just means you lose 2 ordinary hands and you're out.
And which is what my biggest proponent in tournament poker going around, especially at the World Series and everywhere, and on every single podcast I will bring this up, and on every single podcast I will push it for change, which is max late registration. Letting people buy in on day 2 is a travesty to poker. And I just think more than 6 levels is more than 2 levels is a tragedy to poker. But at the World Series, because they have so many events, I don't mind 6-level registration. But if you look at the top 5 in Player of the Year, 2 of them max late reg every single tournament. Last year there was 4 bracelets won by people who max late reg day 2. This year there was 3. Okay. Tournament poker has always been stay alive long enough to give yourself a chance to get lucky. Just like you said, by the end, everybody, the biggest stack has 20 big bets. They're letting people buy in on day 2 with 75% of the field out with 7.5 big bets. They win their first hand, and now they're rolling and they're cashing and they're on their way. Now people say to me, well, why don't you do that? Well, it's a lot different. See, the people who have a lot of money can do that because if they don't win the worst first hand, they go to the next tournament. If they do, they're going to cash and give themselves a chance to win. Because me and I think you too, we sell a lot of ourselves on Stake Kings or U Stake, and I can never I don't show up late when people are buying part of myself, especially at any kind of markup. So that's where I have a problem. The fact that I even talked to a higher up at the World Series, and I told them that letting people buy in day 2 of the main event is just a travesty. I mean, you're talking about a third of the players are out, and you're letting them buy in with 100 big blinds. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's so stupid. I don't know what.
Well, you probably saw. I mean, Kenny Hallert, and he published an article recently. He found someone with a computer science background to help him out.
Right.
They came up with a way to do that ICM calculation so that you could estimate the value of a stack,
right,
even when there were still hundreds of players left in the field.
Correct.
And I think what he found, was that letting people buy in like that when, 30, 40% of the field is gone, when half the field is gone, they were gaining a lot more equity than I would have guessed, and I think a lot of other players might have guessed.
Well, I knew how big it was. All you have to do is is look at the results. I knew when Chris Ferguson, who hadn't played poker in God knows how long, shows up and he's winning Player of the Year and has a chance again at Player of the Year, and he maxed late reg. That's all you need to know. And he's all about math. I mean, he built the software so he knows math, and I knew it was big. Knowing that your money is worth your chips are worth 3-1. I did not think they were that big. I was a little shocked, but I figured it was close to 2-1, and it is something that all us poker players need to push for next year. That needs to be gotten rid of. And if you talk to people at the tables, everybody. I was talking to a guy whose net worth is over 8 figures. Plays a lot of super high rollers too, and he told me that the max late reg is awful for poker, and he says it is totally unfair and wrong. But people don't understand. Like I said, is they say, well, why don't you max late reg? Well, the bottom line is people don't really know the poker world. Like at least 40%. I'm going low here. Because I don't want to sound stupid, but probably closer to 70% are the people that are playing all these tournaments are getting staked, and they're not going to max late reg on somebody else's money, And it's if I had the money I used to have, I would 100% max late reg. All you have to do is look at Phil Hellmuth. Even the Turbo, the last one of the year, he max late regged with 10 big blinds, and he finished 5th. That's all you need to know. He max late reg over 10 hours after everybody started playing. But the thing is he realizes that in a turbo nobody has more by that time than 20 big blinds. So he wins the next hand. He's like got a top stack, and this is what the World Series of Poker doesn't understand. Tournament poker, stay alive long enough to give yourself a chance to get lucky. It's always been everybody starts on time, everybody gets the same amount of chips, and it levels the playing field. And they need to do something for the you're gonna just kill the recreational players are gonna say fuck this. You know what I mean? They're not stupid. I mean, look at Stephen Chidwick didn't play all summer. Not only did he late reg the 25K high roller on day 2, he late regged it, max late reg, 2 hours into day 2 when there was like 70-something people left, and he got 20 big blinds. 20 big blinds in PLO with no antes. He could fold 30 hands in a row and then boom, get it all in with the nuts 3-way action. Now he's got 54 big blinds. And at the end, when you're down on the final table, I mean, nobody has more than 50 to 60 big blinds. So letting people max late reg on day 2 is a travesty that I will do everything in my power through social media, through my podcast to eliminate. Now, during the World Series, there's so many tournaments that when they had 6-level max late reg, I had no problem with it because that made the people still have to play 4 hours the night before and come down, and then it gives them a disadvantage. But not having to play the first day and being able to play the day 2, and it's just not right. It's unethical. It's bad for the game of poker. And it really bothers me. That's one thing I want cleaned up at the World Series.
Well, it's just a balance. I mean, the tournament directors are trying to make as many players as happy as possible, but they're also trying to maximize revenue.
Yeah,
so
but go ahead.
It's one of those things, that, especially if it's a one-bullet tournament, like all those 10Ks you're talking about, the 10K championship events for the stud games and the draw games and the horse and all that. Those aren't rebuy. So it's not a question of keeping registration open so that someone who busts in level 8 can try again. There, I'm not really sure what their big incentive is to have late registration to the beginning of day 2. Oh, I'm not sure that gets them more players or more revenue.
Well,
so the only question is, what do they think most of the players prefer?
Right. I mean, what they do. I mean, and they would have like like even like those 50Ks and those 100Ks, they start with 99 players. There's 23 left going to day 2. Now 25 people buy in on day 2 with 15 or 20 big blinds, and that's a big edge. I mean, Daniel busted the 100K on day 1, bought in day 2, and he finished second. I mean, he bought in when 75% of the field was out of the 100K because he has the money to rebuy bullets. And anybody who could tell me that this is okay is just not. It's just not. It can't be okay. It's re-entry is for the wealthy, just like one of my guys just said on the chat. It's they're rewarding the people that play in Bobby's room, that play cash all night, to come in and have a chance to win a bracelet. And I don't think it's right, and I'm gonna do what I can to at least eliminate day 2 starting days. And remember too, in that 25K PLO, not only is Chidwick allowed to buy in 2 hours in a day 2, he's also allowed a re-entry because it's a 1 re-entry tournament. So this is I'm not taking anything away from that. I'm glad he actually won. I had him on my fantasy team, so it was good for me. But he comes. I picked him up. I knew he wasn't going to playing many tournaments because he just had a baby, so I got him for like $1. He fucking picks off 102 points for me in one tournament, so that was pretty good. But I just want it to be fair for everybody. I don't think it's fair that people are grinding 10-hour days and basically, unless the deck hits them in the face, they're grinding 10-hour days for one hand. And that's what it comes down to, because if they're letting people start, like I start my good days of the 10Ks, the ones I've cashed, I started day 2 with 125,000, starting 4 and 8,000 limit. Well, if you start with 60 and you win your first 10, what do you got? You got 125,000. So it's 10 hours for one hand. The only difference is you have to win that one hand. The other guy, like me, I could lose too. Now, actually, it's 7.5 big bets. It's if you're a good tournament limit player, it's actually almost 2 hands to the river. So these things need to be addressed. They did fix the 1,500 structure, so unfortunately they did it 2 weeks late. I'm just wondering who they're listening to. I hope to God they're not listening to Alan Kessler on these deep chip structures. Now, I wanted to play more no limit this year, but everybody I talked to in the 1,000, 1,500 no limits said, oh, you get all these play on day 1 and by day 2, and if you get the final table, it's a shove fest. There's no poker left, and that's where they need to make the adjustments. They need to go to Matt Savage structures, especially in the, I think, 1,500s next year, whether it's limit or no limit. It's 30-minute levels on day 1, 40 minutes tops. I would go 30 minutes in a no limit, 40 minutes in the limit in the 1,500s. Go to hour on day 2, and once you get the final table, we go to 90 minutes, and now or an hour and 15, and that's when the play starts. That's where all the money is. You want to, you know as well as I know, is you want to have play where all the money is, not at the beginning where nobody gives a fuck.
Well, it's another balancing act, though, because the thing is, even though it actually isn't to their benefit, I think the recreational players don't like to enter tournaments where they feel short-stacked at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you convince them that, like, hey, look at, when you're playing against Mike Matusow, when you're playing against Stephen Chidwick, you'd rather start off with a 40 big blind stack than a 400 big blind stack. They don't like it because they feel like, well, I want to be able to survive if I get, 1 or 2 unlucky hands,
right,
and still have some play. And the thing is, for any tournament, it's all about the time. So if I'm in charge of an event and it's going to be a 3-day structure, if I have to give you a lot of play early to get you to buy in, then I have to take away play somewhere else.
Well, that's the thing. That's why I say give them the chips, give them the play, but 30-minute levels on day 1 or 40. The mistake they made in that big 50 is they wanted 50-minute levels because a big 50, and it was a complete clusterfuck. They should have had 30-minute levels, and that would have fix that. Now, I have been talking about also with some higher ups about the main event, with trying to make it not, now that they're running tournaments during the main event, which started last year. Usually the main event was the last event of the year, as you know. So they started running tournaments, went during the main event. So I said straight out, well, what you do is just start the main event early, 2 days earlier. Days 1 and 2 are 5 levels. And after that, it's noon till 9, no dinner break, and 4 levels a day. And it doesn't become an absolute marathon endurance contest. Now, I never thought a guy over 40 could win the main event again, but the guy won. He's 59 years old. But there's a backstory to that. This man worked out like 3 hours a day, was like in the best shape of his life because he knew what it was going to take to grind through that many days. So the only way somebody of an older age was going to win the main event is somebody that worked out religiously. And poker shouldn't be an endurance contest. It should be based on how just your skills. So they like that idea a lot. And they might end up putting it in because they have to go 5 levels the first 2 days because there's just too many players they have to get rid of. But after that, they go 4 levels. It would be like noon to 9 with no dinner break. Everybody gets home early. We don't have to unravel to get to sleep. Everybody gets a good night's sleep, and you don't have people, grenading their chip stack because their brain is complete mush by day 6 or 7. So,
well, it's still, when you're that deep in the main event, it might be hard to get a full night's sleep, no matter how much time you have.
Yeah, but if you're off at 9 and you got to be there at 12, you have plenty of time to
oh no, that
you get a
I don't
massage.
ever have a problem.
You'll be able to get a massage, relax. There's so many things to help you sleep. One thing I did learn is how to sleep.
Well, for me, like when I won the main event in 04, I had no problem falling asleep every night because I was so tired from the day.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you wake up 5-6 hours later, now I couldn't fall back asleep because now that I'm not desperately tired anymore, my brain starts racing and who's at my table and how many chips do they have and what strategies do I want to consider because of the seating and I just can't stop thinking about things. So then I'd lay there in bed for a couple hours and then finally.
Go ahead. I think you put too much into who's at your table because the tables break so fast in the main event. Like I made day 5.
Well, that was then.
Yeah,
that was then. That's the first time I was anywhere near that deep.
Right, and I never even looked who was at my table that one time because I really didn't care. I didn't know how long the table would stay together, or what the breaking order was, and. Once I figure out who had what, how I want to make chips, it takes 15, 20 minutes to kind of adjust. So, because that's what I thought. What else has been going on? Anything new?
Let's see here. I guess I can plug this for you. My new book.
Plug anything you want.
Came out my new book had come out this summer. I was there at the Rio at the D&B publishing booth selling it. And so if people are interested, Fossilman's Winning Tournament Strategies, you can find it in your normal online sellers.
All right. Sounds good. I thought the name of the book was called Ace Jack of Diamonds, How I Busted Mike Matusow in the 2004 main event.
I don't think I even mentioned that hand in the whole book.
How could you not mention that hand? How could you not mention that hand? That hand was the catapult to win the.
How did it feel to bust Mike Matusow? And I'm like, I didn't bust him. He didn't bust for it was like an hour or two later.
Longer.
By the time after that hand before you busted.
About 3 hours later.
Yeah.
And the funny part,
I remember your brother reached out to me after that aired on TV.
Yeah.
Because after that hand when you busted and they cut to commercial and they had a picture of me from one of those lipstick cameras on the table and I made a comment. Mike was going to go broke that hand no matter what.
Right.
And your brother reached out and was like very upset, as if I was saying,
no, I know what you meant.
You know,
because if he doesn't three bet, and I shove in, you're going to call with eights, and I'm going to go broke. That's what you meant. I knew what you meant.
Yeah, because there was an 8 on the flop.
Right.
So that's all it meant was that without the third player, I'll play my pocket eights, and the ace king was. So you were just going to take a beat that hand no matter what happened.
Absolutely.
Just because of the arrangement of the cards in the deck.
It was just spectacular. I had to go in spectacular fashion. You know, a lot of people. I think I've told you the backstory of this, and I've said this on my podcast many times. I said it. I in my life have played up to the camera one time, and that was the one time when the cameras kept coming over the table, and we had the bluff, and I said the rude things to you. That was the only time in my life
I didn't even know the camera was there.
Yeah, that was the only time in my life I saw the cameras coming, and I said, I'm going to throw something funny. You know, I kind of got out of line, but I wanted it to be kind of, you know, something that would stick. And that was the only time, and I mean that. I swear to you guys, the only time in my life I saw the cameras coming. I said, I got to play up to the camera here. But other than that, you know me as well. You've known me for 15 years now. You know, what you see is what you get. I'm the same when it's away from the felt or on the felt. So, you know, but I do wear my heart on my sleeve with that. So, you know, and I know you do too. So it's really important in poker to really put your, you know, you really have to be engaged. If you don't take it personal when you lose, if you don't get upset, then you're not normal. If you could just go into a tournament and say nice hand, walk away, and don't think it bothers you, I just don't believe it's normal. So, you know.
Well, I have a good playing to the camera story for you if you want.
Yeah, go ahead. Tell us all.
So I heard this one from a friend of mine, and this is from the World Series, one of the preliminary events. I don't know which one, 10 to 12 years ago. And so this is like one of those ordinary $1,500 buy-in bracelet events, you know, and it's middle of day one, and it involves Phil Hellmuth. He has been losing all day. He's gotten fairly short-stacked. He now shoves the button for maybe it was 6 big blinds or something, you know, relatively small.
Right.
And this kid in the big blind who had a lot of chips calls him with king queen, and he ends up catching a king or a queen to bust Phil's ace-7. And Phil starts to stand up, and he's like, well, I guess it just wasn't my day, you know, have fun, everybody, you know, just some simple, nice things. But as Phil is now standing up, he now notices one of the camera crews from ESPN several tables away, and they'd just been shooting B-roll footage. And they see him stand up, and now they start running over to film it. So he's already done like a nice, polite goodbye, but he stops, turns back to the table, waits for the camera crew to set up and get in place, and then he starts berating the kid. How could you call my shove with king queen? You know I have a pair or an ace at least, and that. So he does the, you know, the stereotypical Phil Hellmuth rant at the kid just because the cameras got there.
Phil plays up to the camera. I would say I'm be honest with you, about 10% more than his normalcy. So he's normally nuts. I mean, he is what he is, but he does play up to the camera a little bit because he can't help himself. You know, that's who he is. You know, and but not that much. Like Phil Locke, he plays up to the camera. He's nothing like he portrays himself on, you know, the camera. Same with Antonio. You know, they both play up to the camera a lot. That's the one thing I like about people who show their natural personality, that show their emotions on their sleeve, or the thrill of victory, the agony of defeat. Daniel's the same way, on camera or off. He just likes to have fun playing. So, anyways, that goes there. But we're gonna go to our phone call segments. We're going to open up the phone lines to everybody. So I'm going to keep you talking, and anybody out there wants to have a phone question for me or Greg or both of us at the same time, give us a call right now, 702-329-0480. 702-329-0480. And me and Greg will be more than happy to answer some of your questions. So us doing this first live broadcast, I'm glad you people.
I'm just showing your audience that I have ears. So apparently there's a bunch of people in the chat that think I don't have ears.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why.
I don't know.
I guess if I had ears that stuck way out all the time, they'd make.
So my words, Greg's ears. Here's our call. Let's see what we got. Welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is Mike the Mouth with Greg Fossilman Raymer. How's it going?
How's it going?
It's going great. Well, you have any questions for me? 80, and you have a chance to talk to me and Greg Fossilman Raymer, and we are waiting your phone calls. So you made a profitable World Series. That's good. I'm glad to know. Glad to hear. Let's see let's answer this call. Welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is Mike the Mouth with Greg Fossilman Raymer. How you doing?
Oh, am I on?
You are on.
Yeah. Hey, how you doing? Hey, it's good to hear. Good to hear both you guys.
Yeah, just lower your volume in the background.
Buffalo, New York.
Okay.
And first of all, I just want to say that book of yours is fantastic. Anybody who hasn't read your book, Mike, is missing out.
Check Raising the Devil?
It's just really awesome. Yeah. It's just fan. It should be a New York top seller. It's that good.
Yeah, well, if I had a publisher that was worth two ups of a shit that didn't steal about $200,000 from me, it probably would have been. But
yeah, because anybody it's out there. You can get it on Amazon right now. I mean, you get the book. I'm telling you, people, you'll be happy you did. But I got a question for you. Since I read the book,
okay,
I seen that part in about being bipolar and taking medication.
Yep.
And I don't think everybody knows how many things you've won.
Yeah.
I mean, you have won a lot.
Yeah.
As great as anybody.
Yeah.
So my question to you is.
Go ahead.
Yeah, my question to you is: do you feel that medication that you were prescribed throughout your life has cost you, in the long run, to be known as, the greatest ever? Because historically, you're fantastic.
Yeah,
and that's just something I got out of the book.
Well, the medication has helped me. What has hurt me was the fact that I did do recreational drugs in 2000 and 2001, which kind of burned my serotonin receptors. I used to have a memory, and I used to be a sharp. As anybody, people walk to the table. If I'd played with them once, I remembered exactly how they play and all their tendencies. Where now, unfortunately, I have to take a little bit of Adderall to focus, and so it and plus getting older and being on these meds that I'm on from the surgery that I had. That was being on the opioids and the gabapentin the last 4 years. Really, really was tough to deal with. And now that I'm out of pain, I'll be getting off those after the World Series. So pain hurt me more than anything after the surgery. And before that, I was doing great. So I appreciate the compliments. And do you have any questions for Mr. Greg Raymer?
Yeah, after you won the World Series and you came out of nowhere, you're the hero, you're the champion. What did you do? I mean, do they give you like a room and not want you to leave the casino so you blow $1 million on the tables? I mean, do they treat you like, hey, don't leave here? Or is it just you leave and that's it? And I mean, what actually happens after you win the World Series? What's the next step?
Well, I'm sure if I had been sitting at the table games playing big, they would have said, sure, here, free room, food, blah, 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 everything to keep you here and keep you happy. But I'm not really a table games player. Before I got into poker seriously, I was a blackjack player, but I was a card counter, which means they wouldn't want me to be playing regularly all the time. They would, if they knew I was counting cards and was a winning player, they wouldn't comp me and ask me to stick around. But other than that, like I was a full-time patent attorney. The only reason I quit my job is that now I had a more dependable source of income because I was being offered, good money to represent an online poker site. So it was kind of like keep my job and get less income, or quit my job and make more money.
Well, let me ask you this. What's the one thing you regret? Everybody talks about all the great times. I'm sure you had all the great times. If you could do one thing over after your victory, what would that be?
Good question.
It's hard to answer that perfectly. I mean, the biggest negative to winning the main event was that now that I was playing poker full time and most of that's tournament poker, I have to travel around. So I used to be, pretty much a regular 9 to 5 job, and had every evening and weekend with my wife and daughter. And now, I'm spending half the year on the road away from them. So that's the main downside. From their point of view, me winning the main event and getting this money and stuff wasn't really a great thing, because now they missed out on a lot of time with me.
What do you guys think about the new breed of poker players that are representing what you guys represented? I mean, let's face it. There's been a change of faces. There's younger guys now. I mean, I'm seeing what disgusts me is these guys. Deeb did that to you, Mike, the one day with the slow roll. He thought it was funny. I was just pissed.
Did you see my video on Sean Deeb?
Which one? Well, the one where he slow rolled you out.
No, did you see the video? Go to my YouTube channel. Check out my videos. Mark Up Police, where I imitated Sean Deeb. It was pretty funny. I made a lot of fun of him. It's pretty cool.
That one. But what do you think about? It's hard to like these. I mean, I'm sure they're great guys, whatever you want to say, but it's hard to like them.
I'm going to tell you this, and I don't know. And then after this, we're going to have to get going because we have other people calling in. The new breed of people come from the internet, and most of them are probably geeks that have had no social life and don't know how to interact with others. So they have, they don't. So they have really bad etiquette at the table. They don't know how to act because they've never been around people. They're used to being behind their computer, and that's what I say to that. And as far as the new breed and the way poker has evolved, the only thing that's changed more is they give you more chips. So instead of the no limit turns being played mostly pre-flop, they're being played all post-flop. And that's what I have to say to that. Anything else you want to say, Greg, to that?
Greg?
Well, like I said, it's a different game. We've learned a lot of skills, that we just didn't know about. There were things that you and I did in 2004, and, we were amongst the better tournament players in the world at that time. And some of those things that we did regularly then, we now know are not really the best basic strategy anymore. And we've changed, adapted, improved our game. And a lot of that came from these guys who learned to play on the internet. And it's not so much because they were playing online and playing millions of hands of online poker. It was more the way they learned things because they were doing that math analysis, because they had access to tools that didn't exist in the 90s and stuff when you and I were starting out, or 80s or 90s. We couldn't do Poker Stove and things like that where we could say, hey, look at this. Like, even if he calls my 4-bet shove bluff and I have deuce 7, against top 10% of all hands that he might call with, I'm still going to win 25, 30% of the money.
Right.
We didn't know that kind of stuff, so we wouldn't know that maybe that 4-bet shove as a bluff wasn't as bad a play as we thought back then.
Yeah. Hey, we got to go. We got tons of other calls coming in. I got to pick up at least one, maybe two more. Thanks for calling, okay?
All right. Thank you.
You got it. Yeah, we were on there too long, but that's okay. We're going to pick up a couple more phone calls between me and Greg Raymer, and then we're going to move on to our next guest on our special 2-hour edition of the Mouthpiece. Oh, we're calling back. Okay. This is what we do on the Mouthpiece. We call people back.
Hello.
Welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is Mike the Mouth and Greg Fossilman Raymer. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good, man. We call you back here on the Mouthpiece because, we get locked up on the phones. We want to make sure you get your questions in for both of us. So,
I really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Big fan. Just wanted to hear your opinion on a few things, and I liked where you guys were going with your conversation about the late reg, and there's another side to that coin. I want to give you my experience with, I played a handful of tournaments, was there for most of the WSOP series. I pre-registered to every single tournament, and on almost every single tournament, I waited 1 to 2 hours to play because not enough players showed up. Do you feel like that's an issue, and how do you feel the recreational players feel about that?
That's one of my biggest things. You're 100% right. It's not fair to the recreational players. They show up on time. Sometimes they're playing, there's 3 or 4 tables going, and then all the late regs come in, and then they drag you off that table. Back in the days, we used to have to show up on time, and if you showed up on time, you got to play a lot of times with recreational players, and you got good table draws, which gave you the best chance to win a tournament. Now, you show up on time, you get punished for it, because there's like...
I couldn't agree with you more. 100%. I felt like I was punished every time as a person that's coming with cash, going to the Rio the night before, registering, showing up on time.
Correct.
I don't remember the tournament. Maybe it was the double stack or the Millionaire Maker.
Right.
Would you believe if we didn't get started till level 3?
Yeah, I do.
And I'm not a recreational player, but the sour taste it left, and at everybody I could see at my table, like how tilted they were and upset over the situation. I just think WSOP or any tournament market in itself, we're catering too much to certain individuals or pros in itself when the target market is the rec players.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I am going to be pushing this narrative for the next year until they fix this. It is, we are in the business to get recreational players, business people, people that come to the World Series that want to enjoy their experience, not have to suffer, play shorthanded, move from table to table to table because all these other people are late regging. I have a thing, if you're not there by the end of level 1 and you stand in line to late reg, instead of them picking from your table, they all play together. Let all the pros play together. You show up late, you get punished. Not punish the people who show up on time. That's my opinion.
100%. And there's also, I'm glad you mentioned something. You're sort of hitting a tip of an iceberg there. Mm-hmm. Who does that favor when we have to play? Because I understand shorthanded ranges, the dynamics of shorthanded play. Mm-hmm. When you're a guy coming, especially, let's say, for a big 50 or one of these Colossus-style events where, you know, these guys play 1-2 no limit or some home game, they're really taking a shot for the travel, the airfare, the hotel. It means a lot to them, and then they got to play 5-handed with 3 pros. How do you think that makes them feel?
It's the same thing as re-entries, okay? I am against the super late reg and against re-entries. I'll give you an example on this, and then I'm going to let Greg answer your question. Before I got sick in 2013, the Seminole Hard Rock in Florida had their first $5 million guarantee. 5,000 buy-in, unlimited rebuys. I bought in 5,000. I finished 53rd. I got coolered, where Justin Bonomo won the event and bought in 9 times. Now, for the 300 or 400 people that want a satellite in, and let's just say, I don't know, 3 or 4 satellite winners busted Bonomo, and then they find out Bonomo won the tournament, would you ever want to play a fucking another tournament? I mean, you'd be sick.
And here's one thing I want to say, and I hate to say this because I agree with you 100%, but as a guy that's, I'm not a pro player anymore, let's say semi-pro, not rec, you know what I'm saying? I used to play full-time, but now I've invested a lot of the money I've made.
Yeah.
We sort of take whatever treatment we can get because we know we'll be profitable at the end. Does that make sense?
Correct. Oh, I agree.
Like the poker players in general, we'll just take whatever dog shit they feed us and we'll be happy with it. But we're really hurting the overall economy of poker by doing this.
Killing it. And if they don't fix it now, there won't be one. Okay? The reason why tournament buy-ins have gone up are, I mean, as far as like the number of people, as far as I'm going to let Greg answer here because I don't want him holding too long.
Absolutely.
Is because everybody in the poker economy is broke, and they're trying to make a score. And the best way to get a score is they get backing or they sell themselves at markup, trying to get in tournaments and make a score. They don't know what's going on. I know what's going on in the real poker economy. Greg, go ahead and answer some of his questions, and you can go ahead and ask Greg some others.
Well, I guess it's not surprising. The answer really is about balance. When we're talking about the World Series, over the summer, re-entry isn't that important because there's lots of other things to do. Whereas the rest of the year, I'm traveling around. I'm going to things like Heartland Poker Tour, World Series circuit events, stuff like that. There's only one main event and then some relatively small preliminary events. And obviously, I don't want to travel to, Chicago and St. Louis and Florida and so on if I can only play that main event one time.
But what about one
Because
re-entry?
now...
Would you be good with one re-entry tops? See, that's what I'm pushing for. If you travel across country and if you get coolered, you could get one optional re-entry, okay? But you can't buy in that day. You have to buy in day 1B or whatever. But one re-entry I'm fine with, but I'm just way against these unlimited re-entries.
Which still is reasonable because it puts a cap on what I would term it as a bankroll edge. Like Bonomo, he has a bankroll edge.
Right.
So in an unlimited re-entry, he's not only has a massive skill edge on most of the field, but that bankroll edge, you know what I mean? I don't know how they can make a variable to factor that in. I was listening to your conversation about Kenny Hallert and the ICM thing. That was, spun my head a little bit because I really didn't think of it in those terms. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I knew it was probably 2-1. I had no idea it was like 3-1 your chips were worth. I mean, it's all you have to do is just look who's won the bracelets in the last 2 years and look who's been at the top of the leaderboard in cashes. Chris Ferguson, max late regs, either the last level of the night on day 1 or he registers on day 2, and he's got 17 cashes, and he's, I think, 4th for player of the year right now. So, I mean, you don't need to know any more than that, that's all. Anyways, we're going to go, we got to go take some more calls.
Can I ask you guys just one more quick question?
Yeah,
I just want to hear your opinion on one thing, and I'll let you guys go.
Go ahead, Greg, you answer.
I just wanted to know what you guys thought about from a standpoint from the player's point of view, or just anybody watching ESPN, with the sort of confrontation and the way Jack Effel handled the situation with Dario Sammartino. Because I just want to tell you, as a poker player and a person that's been playing since I graduated college 15 years, I was disturbed at the level of how he handled that situation, how disrespectful, rude, and condescending he was. And then there's a language barrier factored into that whole thing, too. The guy barely speaks English.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, the ruling he gave was obviously
correct.
Ruling, there was really no question about that, even though the dealer made a mistake. Because if you were to somehow let him out, even if the dealer hadn't put out a flop, even if the cards had not been turned over, you couldn't let him say call when he thought it was 17 and then let him change his mind when it's corrected to 22, because to the extent you feel like you're trying to be fair to Dario, you're kind of also maybe being unfair to the other guy, because maybe in that exchange of 17 to 22, the other player gave off some significant tell. Like, yes, you called me, he starts celebrating. He hasn't turned his hand over, but it's a huge hand.
Right.
And now you're letting Dario off the hook because the dealer said 17 instead of 22. So the ruling is correct.
The ruling is
and
correct.
I agree with you, Jack. Probably
I 100% agree that the ruling is correct.
I just
I'm
really sorry, but
on
this
this
is the
type
rule.
of a
There's
spotlight,
no
11-handed ESPN,
we can discuss
the way
it
he
in
conducted
detail
himself
later,
and represented
but
the
right
WSOP
now
was
it's a
disrespectful.
call, and the dealer's going to run out the board.
Yeah. So my take on this is this. Of course, the ruling was correct. What Jack Effel did was a disgrace. The way he ignored it afterwards, like it was no big deal, by erasing his Twitter account and not addressing Dario the next day and apologizing of the way he acted and the way he was appalling. A lot of people are calling for Jack's head and don't want to see him at the World Series next year. And this goes back over a lot of what other people have been saying of the preferential treatment of certain players against certain players. And there's a lot of people that have just had enough of Jack. Now, me personally, I can't. Jack's been nothing nice to me. I can't say anything wrong bad about.
Yeah, and we can't be ignorant to the fact that preferential treatment exists. And I'm glad
absolutely.
you mentioned that, because I just want to replace Dario Sammartino with your friend, or your acquaintance Daniel Negreanu. Would he have talked to Daniel that way?
No fucking way. He might have.
That's my point.
Not only would he not talk to Daniel that way, okay, but he might have let him say, "Take the 17 back and decide if you want to call." I mean, he might have. I mean, that's...
And we can't, we can't make that ruling, or we can't, it's like,
that's just
he
an
said,
assumption
she said,
that
we don't know.
I'm going to agree with you, on that. So, no, I agree with you. That was disgraceful. I mean, to never apologize to him for that, I just think it's unforgivable. It's a big difference. $5 million in chips is 10 big blinds extra. 10 big blinds. I honestly, knowing Dario the way I know him as a player, I do not think he calls $22.5 million.
We had a big discussion in a group of players about this, and the majority consensus, we thought he would fold with the difference.
I think he would have too. What do you think, Greg?
I have never played with Dario, so I don't really have an opinion on what he would have done.
Let me ask you, would you
like
have
I said,
done?
It's unfortunate, and it's just one of those things, though, that's why you always want to be careful. You want to be aware of how many chips your opponent have. I mean, I've had dealers make a mistake like that with me, and then I'm just like, wait, can you double check? That doesn't sound right. Whether he should have called for 22 or not, I think it's close either way.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm not saying he's gonna fold. I'm saying there's probably...
It makes the decision much more different.
Yes, for Dario stack size, it makes a big difference, and the way he was treated was appalling. But we got to go. We got another call coming in. Yep. I appreciate the call.
Really appreciate that, Chad.
You got it. Bye-bye.
Good luck to both of you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna take one more call, and then we're gonna say goodbye. Okay. So yeah, one more quick call. Let's see. And then we're going to call Mike the Grinders Mizrachi. We love calling people back on the Mouthpiece. We are the champions, my friend. Hello, Greg. How's it going? Oh, it's going fine. I miss you guys. Yay. Fuck off, Mike.
Did you reverse the voices?
No, I don't know. I like
you reached. Oh,
okay. That guy's gone. I found these bobbleheads back from the day. And I thought it was pretty funny. It was perfect to bring them out for this. Do you remember these bobbleheads?
I still have like a dozen of the Greg Raymer bobbleheads.
Damn, I got one.
I think mine are the only ones that sold.
Yo, welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is Mike Matusow and Greg Fossilman Raymer. How's it going?
Hey, Mike. I'm doing great, and your podcast is just fantastic. Hey,
thank you. What do you think of the first live podcast? You like it?
You got to do more, Mike.
More live ones?
Get enough mouth.
Yeah.
Yes.
The only thing about the live ones is like technical difficulties like today, where everything else comes out smooth when we do them. when we do them 2 days in advance.
It's more GTO that way.
But that's like a reflection of your life, Mike. That's more reflective.
That's true. I kind of like doing the live ones, and I like our system. We kind of like set up. We're able to. I hope everything's coming out good for everybody. I've been getting nothing but good praises. So we worked really hard on setting up this set. But what kind of questions you got for me and Mr. Fossilman Raymer?
I've got a quick one, but before I say it, I just want to tell you, your podcast with Billy Baxter was phenomenal, and a lot of people are talking about it. And
and he was in the middle. He was in the middle of betting sports too. So we're gonna get him back on here probably in a couple of weeks, maybe even next week. Who knows? because right now, before the football starts up, he has a little bit of time, and we can get a lot. He has so many more stories. He's something, boy. I'll tell you. You know, he's great. One of my good friends.
Here's my question for you and Greg, and just so nobody reads into it incorrectly, I think the world of Chris Moneymaker. What was your guys' take on the Hall of Fame induction of Chris and Oppenheimer last week, as opposed to other guys who are eligible and
don't get me
maybe worthy in both of your opinion?
You gave us your opinion on that earlier in the show, Mike.
Yeah, we did. Go ahead. Yeah, you would.
I'm sorry.
I was in favor of Chris being inducted into the Hall of Fame just because, and I'm not saying that he's, historically one of the greatest, most skillful poker players that's ever lived, but he's a good player and a good guy, and everyone agrees with that part.
Great guy,
but
and a good player.
When you look at everyone else who was eligible for the Hall of Fame, there's no one else where you could point to them and say, if it weren't for them, the poker boom would be 10, maybe even 20% smaller than it was.
I agree. And that's, when you look at the list, that's why, I knew they would put Chris in on the 50th anniversary because it's all about promoting the World Series of Poker. Is great as a player, and I mean this sincerely. David Oppenheim is one of the top 3 all-around poker players in the world. His only weakness is no limit hold'em tournaments, which he's still not bad at that. But that he doesn't play that. He plays big cash games, and he's the best in the game. And when he does it, but with that said, you have to ask, what has he done to help push poker forward? The answer is 0. He is not the most pleasant person to play with. As a matter of fact, he's one of my friends. We get along fine, but at the table, I cannot play with him at the table. He's just so miserable to play with. Here's a guy that wins more than anybody in poker. When he loses one hand, it's reverse scramble, back scramble, left scramble, throws a fit. He's one of my friends, and I cannot play in the same game as him. And that's just, this is me. But I love him as a person, but I just hate playing with him, and I don't really think he advances anything in poker. But, listen, I have my own feelings. I know that poker is very political. All you have to do is know Todd Brunson got in, last year, the year before, when his first time on the list. Now, I played thousands and thousands of hours with Todd Brunson in cash games. He is, without a doubt, one of the best players I've ever played with, and one of my good friends. But, you look at tournament results, and to think that Todd's in the Hall of Fame before me because his dad made sure to call everybody that he knew that was in the Hall of Fame to make sure to give all their points to Todd to get in. It was all, that's kind of political. But don't get me wrong, Todd deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. He is one of the best players I've ever played with. Again, I'm not knocking that. That's it. And I'm going to get in no matter what. It's not that. It's not about that for me. It's about what I said 3 years ago. My dad's getting older. I don't know how long he's going to be around. I want my dad to be around when I get in the Hall of Fame. This year he was in the hospital very sick for 4 months. We almost lost him. I don't know if he'll be around next year at this time. And if he's not, I will never let the World Series, I will never let him live it down, because it's something that's the only thing the Hall of Fame means to me is, everybody knows for your parents, you work, you try and be successful, you want your parents to be proud of you. And I kind of play, I play for my family. I play for my parents. I want them to see me do successful. And with that, that takes a little sting. But hopefully my dad's doing good right now, and hopefully he'll be with us next year when I do get in. Anything else you want to say there, Greg?
Well, I would vote for you if I had votes, Mike.
I know you would, buddy, and I appreciate it. And people don't realize, they always ask, about Me and you have been really close friends for quite a few years now, and Greg's a good guy, and I'm glad to call him my friend. I'm glad he's on my first live podcast. I'm glad for everybody who's called in to talk to Greg, and we got to move on to get going because Mike Mizrachi's getting on. He only has about 30 minutes, so right, thanks for your phone call. We appreciate it. And Greg, thank you so much for the interview and coming on today on my first live podcast. It means a lot to me, and I appreciate it very much. Is there anything else you want to plug?
You're welcome. Glad I could be on. Glad I added some more technical difficulties.
What was your book?
What would Mike Matusow be without the road bumps?
Right. What was your book again? Put that out there for everybody.
Yeah. Let's see here. Get it. Fossilman's Winning Tournament Strategies. So, entirely focused on poker tournament play. Covers every aspect of tournament play. Obviously, you can't put everything in one book, but I tried to do something that hit on all the major points and will help anyone become a better player when they're in a tournament. And obviously, some of it will also help you in cash games as well. And my hope is that, little time goes by, more people have read the book, and that people consider this like the Bible for tournament poker. And if I did my job well, that's what it will be. If not, then I'll have to do a better job in the future.
All right, buddy. All right, Greg. Thanks for being on the Mouthpiece, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care, my friend.
Anytime, buddy.
All righty. Now, everybody, we are going to call Mr. Mike Mizrachi, the Grinder, coming off his 5th World Series of Poker bracelet. And as far as paying Daniel, I do pay Daniel. There he is. Grinder, you there?
Hold on. Try now.
Grinder. Mikey.
What's up, Mikey?
What's up? Mike, the Grinder Mizrachi. Welcome to the Mouthpiece. Lower your volume in the back, Mikey. Lower your volume. Yeah, I hear you good.
Okay.
All right, man. How's it going?
Good, brother. Just got back from Vegas.
Yeah.
Little tired, resting up, man.
Yeah, what are you resting up for?
Huh?
What are you resting up for?
Your podcast.
That's good. That's what I want to hear. See, that's my Mikey. Yeah. I know. So, why don't you tell everybody how the summer went? You won your 5th World Series of Poker bracelet. Wow.
I won the 5th, and they told me I was the first player. I won 5 bracelets in the last decade, so they had that stat. So I had no idea.
Yeah,
so that's a pretty cool stat.
Well, and, it's amazing. You won a bracelet that wasn't the 50K. What's going on here?
I know I'm slacking, bro. Sorry, I went down to the. You think it's gonna be a 1,500? You're probably gonna think it's a no limit event where you're gonna score for 500,000-600,000. But I can't get greedy. It was 142, and kept my World Series alive. Some hope, some confidence. It was early.
Yeah,
but it's all good. I mean, at the end of the day, it was 9 cashes. Probably lost a little for the series, but
yeah,
it's all good.
Yeah, and it's a lot what we were talking about.
Could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, it could have, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. But it's a little bit like if you've been listening to the podcast all day, what we were talking about. Like Mike, 9 cashes and a bracelet, and lost a little bit for the World Series. I had 7 cashes, no bracelet, and won 100 and something thousand. So it goes to show you that yes, I would rather No, I need the money. I would probably rather have more money and not a bracelet. But you know what?
Yeah.
Mike had a lot of deep runs, and he really kind of ran bad late. And the way he went broke in the turbo, I finished 31st. He finished 32nd. The 2 hands we both lost. I thought mine was brutal. Why don't you tell all the fans what I witnessed and how you went broke in the 5K turbo with 31 people left?
Actually, in all the no-limit tournaments, I really think I played like 14 no-limit events, and I took a bad beat for my tournament life in 13 of them. and the one I didn't, and the one I was a flipped one. So, but the last 10 I shifted in with ace king of clubs, and a guy flat called me with his whole stack with king jack all in.
That was Pat Lyons, by the way.
Pat called, and the guy called in the small blind with ace queen, and the flop comes 6-6-3 with 2 clubs. Of course, it comes to jack.
Yeah. So.
Now,
Mike had the same starting stack as me going into day 2, 20,000 less, which is less. So it was basically for 700,000. He had ace king of clubs versus I have no idea what Pat Lyons is calling your under the gun shove with king jack. I mean, like you're not. I don't understand that. And then the overcall with ace queen was probably even worse. So he gets it in 3 ways: ace king of clubs versus king jack of spades versus ace queen offsuit. Flop comes 3-3-6 2 clubs. So basically between them they're dead to
5 outs.
5 outs. An offsuit queen or an offsuit jack, and it comes jack.
And they gotta hope I missed the turn too.
Yeah, and Mike could lock him out with a club on the turn, or Mike locks it up with an ace on the turn. There's or a king.
Well, I don't lock it up on an ace because a guy can hit a queen on the river.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So that was the way his World Series ended. Mine, if you hadn't heard, mine ended in similar fashion. I got it in with ace queen of hearts. The guy moved all in under the gun with 10 jack of hearts for 250,000, which is ridiculous. I mean, see, I guess Pat Lyons might have thought like you were the guy that moved in at my table with 10 jack of hearts under the gun, which you would never do. And and I had ace queen of hearts in the big blind, so I was like 67%, and I got a big cock. And that's what happened there. But
I was there to see that too.
That happens. And why don't you tell everybody what's been going on in your life, Mikey? What's new?
Well, the most exciting thing's been going on is, I actually 6 months ago I got engaged to Sarah at South Africa. So that was a fun trip.
And I didn't even know this. I'm one of your closest friends. You didn't tell me you got engaged. I guess you didn't. Not invite
we got
me.
Engaged.
Am I getting invited to the wedding or what?
I took her shark diving.
Oh, you took her
cage
shark
diving. Then we went to some safaris. We had some fun. We had some friends in South Africa we went to go visit. So that was exciting 6 months ago. And then I just been training like hell, just doing a lot of boxing stuff. So I've been training for like 4 or 5 months already, just boxing and just getting in shape. And I got in great shape for the World Series.
Yeah, you look like you were.
I felt coming in the World Series. I felt like I was going to come in like really strong, rested up, feeling great. I traveled the world. I've seen so much. I had a great time. And didn't play much poker, not many tournaments, just playing cash games all year long, just private game.
Right.
And then I was feeling good coming in, and I can't complain. You know what happens? I came home with a gold bracelet, but a lot of white receipts and no green.
Exactly. And your brother came home with no gold bracelets and a lot of green.
A lot more green.
A lot more green. And that's the thing of and it goes to show you what I was saying earlier. The man who won the World Series of Poker, 59 years old, was working out 3 hours a day. Okay. Mike got in great shape and had a decent World Series. His brother, I thought he was sick when I first saw him. His brother lost so much weight. I said, I looked at him and I said, oh my God, Robert's sick. He's like, what is he, 6'2", I think?
Rob's about 6'2". He's about an inch tall.
He's like 6'2", and he came in like at 185. He looked like a twig. And I'm just like, dude, you need to add like 10 pounds. I'm like, you look like a twig. But it goes to show you what I've been saying. They say poker is not a sport, but yet all the young kids and the older people that are working out every day. Daniel works out every day. The guy who won the World Series, 59, works out 3 hours a day. Mike works out every day. His brother Rob was in incredible shape, and they all had good World Series. See, that's why I can't wait to get all these meds out of my system, because I have to play with all this fucking garbage in my system where I can't, because of my injury, I hadn't been able to work out, but now I'm going to, and it makes a big difference. So people
Yeah,
don't
of course.
think
I actually posted. I said, "Poker is not a sport?" ? And I showed my training. I actually went to the UFC Performance Institute in Las Vegas because one of my friend's an active fighter, so you get to use the facilities, and it's great. My friends with Colby Covington. He's actually fighting in 2 weeks in Newark, New Jersey, for the main card against Robbie Lawler. So I'm going there to support him, and it was pretty cool. I had some training with him. Feeling good, feeling great. The only thing that sucked, he only stayed for a week because he had to go back home to train. So I enjoyed the week with him, and I was feeling great. And that's when actually I won the world. And actually, I won the bracelet right after he left. The next day, 2 days later.
Yeah, and I was really proud of you to win that bracelet because, like, stud 8 or better. Stud is probably your best game. I tell people say, well, no limit hold'em, but I still believe stud's your best game. And in 8 or better stud, I always felt like sometimes you try and outplay people where you really can't that much in 8 or better. But I watched your patience was really good, even when you had all the chips. And I thought I was a little bit worried about you breaking down a little bit, but you didn't.
No, I knew when it came down to the final table, when we started getting shorthanded, I knew they were going to be lost in hands, because when you start playing shorthanded, not many people play a lot of shorthanded, stud high low. So you get lost in hand ranges, and you're not sure what hands to play in that situation. You're looking at big hands. You're trying to look 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 3.
Yeah, the lows go out the window.
But you got to raise the ace king deuce, the ace jack deuce.
Absolutely,
sometimes, ace jack 3 when you're
of
3,
course
4-handed.
you do. Yes, and I always did that because and all the good players do it. And with depending on how the stack sizes is, sometimes when a low card brings it in, and there was sometimes during the stud 8 when the 10K that I finished 4th, where if you raised to, like, it was the 3-6,000 one, where you raised to 6,000, you would pick up like what was it, 18,000 in antes. You were getting like 3-1, 6,000 to win 18,000, and then 3 hour or 2 levels later, the antes were still the same, and there was no reason for you to ever raise with a bad one in the hole because the antes were nothing. So that's the adjustment, and I noticed it when I noticed, and I had a lot of chips, so I was able to use my chips. They all think I'm so nitty, but you know as well as I know, Mike. You know me, that I know what to do. With chip situations, and when I saw 18,000 in chips, if I raised and complete to 6,000, especially when there was a lot of babies out, I would do it under the gun, because with so many, like 6 babies up, the chances of somebody having 3 were less, and if they do call, you could hit good, they could hit bad, you could pick it up too. So
yeah, of course,
I did that a lot when the 3-6,000, when the antes, when you could pick up 3 times as much on the raise that you could that was in the pot. But then when it changed, there was at one point one level where the antes were the same, and if you raised to 10,000, there was like 8,000 in the pot. So you had to play super solid when that ante range was in there. So
yeah, of course, man, I 100% agree with you.
So now that we've been on the phone for a while, what we're going to do, Mike, is we're going to take live phone calls. People are going to call in, and they're going to have questions for me and you, and let's see what everybody has to say. Is there any, Mike, while we're out there, is there anything you want to push, want to plug? You still have your dealing site?
Actually, I've been playing on the PP Poker app. I played this morning.
What's PP Poker?
Yeah, I have a club on PP Poker, the Mizrachi Club.
What's PP Poker? Explain what that is.
It's a club people play online, and just join the app. You go into my club. You put join club number 288014, and they accept you in the club, and you can go play poker with me on there.
There you go. So if you go to PP Poker, and what's the code?
Download the app on the Apple Store.
Okay, download the app
on the Apple Store, and put in club number 288014,
Two what? Repeat that. Repeat that to me.
Poker with me.
Repeat that
And
number. What was the number?
288-014.
014. All right, there you go. I just typed it into my chat. So anybody that wants to download the app and play with Mike the Grinder, they're more than happy to. So what we're going to do now is go to the phone call segment. The number 702-329-0480. That's 702-329-0480. Give us a call. Me and Mike will take your calls as long as Mike can stay for. He said he only has to 4, but you know what? I have a knack of keeping Mike online as long as I can. So,
yeah, I have actually a poker game at 8 o'clock, but it's like 40 minutes away from here.
Oh, okay. What
So
limit? What limit? What limit?
I'll try to stay on as like another 20, 30 minutes. More.
Perfect. What limits will you be playing?
It's gonna be just a 5-10 no limit. We just did a private game. We have a private game with a bunch of Israelis, and we play a little bit of PLO later at night at 1 p.m. At 1 a.m. in the morning.
We got a call coming in. Welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is Mike the Mouth with Mike the Grinder Mizrachi. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Yeah, lower your volume in the background. We're doing all
right.
What's up, boss? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Am I on with Mike and...
Mike and Mike. We're the new Mike and Mike. Yep. We're
Sweet.
The new...
Two pros, two legends. Nice to talk to both of you guys.
Yeah.
Got a question for you. So who was Mike, I'd love to hear some Stu Unger stories from you.
I wish I had them. I started playing professionally in '96. I met Stu Unger in 1997, but I didn't really. I just was hi and goodbye. But if you watch the '97 main event, it was the only time the Horseshoe. They decided they were going to run it outside on Fremont Street, and it was in May, and they had a 110-degree heat wave. But if you go and look up that video on YouTube, 97 final table, you'll see me. I was in the stands the entire final table.
Oh, I know. I've seen it online. I've seen you in the background learning, and I've seen, what you've accomplished since then. I met you in 2009. And you were real nice. You let me take a picture with you. You were very cordial. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
But I just want to say, Mike, I wish you luck, man. You're on your way to a comeback. Keep grinding it out. And could you give some examples of live tells that normal, that for advanced players would see?
Well,
I'd love to hear additional
start off
tells
with Mike.
from pros.
Mike, you can answer that, and then I'll answer my opinion on it.
I just look for my biggest thing is looking for breathing, heavy breathing, light breathing. I look for and I pick it up for the next time. If I show us, I see his hand, if I see a bluff or I don't see a bluff, I could tell the heavy breathing could be a bluff or it could be a big hand. So I look for that. That's the first thing I look for, and for tells. But everybody looks at other things like hand movements, just facial expression.
Yeah.
Or shuffling chips. But I look at for everything. But I think I look for more tells when I'm playing like a really big tournament, when I'm playing a big 10K. But at the 1Ks, 500s, I pretty much just enjoy myself, listen to music. But when I'm serious and playing big events, I usually don't have the headphones on, and I listen for everything.
Right, and I noticed.
Yeah, you got to.
Like in the main event
year.
In the main event this year, I'm sorry, not in the main event. In the horse tournament after I got broke from the main event, and in the turbo tournament, I actually brought headphones with me because I knew how loud it was going to be in there because they were all screaming at the main event. And I put headsets, and I've never been able to play with headsets on. And I put them on, and I'm just like, I just wasn't focused, so I had to take them off and get used to it. It was harder for me in the horse tournament because I was on the left of the stage, right by the stage, where the turbo tournament was in front, and it didn't echo as much. My tells that I look for is the same thing I've been looking for years. I still hate card runners for teaching people bet sizing because I used to pick up on what everybody had just by the way they put their chips in. Now, it's a lot tougher now, but I still look for chip tells because the human body when it gets ready to bet, they don't think about, I make sure I put these chips out the same way I did the last time. And it's still been profitable for me, even though it cost me at the Venetian event, where a guy who was 3-betting like all the time, but I opened for 1,800 middle position. Guy next to me called. This guy's in the big blind, and he made it 8,000. Like, this guy had never done more than like 3 to 4x re-raise, and I'm like, why would he make it 8,000 against me when he knows, like, I always fold and look for better spots? And I'll give the guy credit. He had 2 kings, and I fell for the bait, and I made it 25,000, and he moved in for 24 more, in which I committed myself because I 3-bet him really big. And,
he reverse-telled you.
Yeah, he reverse-telled me. And I felt like a fool for it, because even a couple of great players that were at the table, I said, well, we were talking about it. I said, well, and I go, did you see what I saw? And they all said, yeah. I go, would you have done the same? They said, yeah. So I give the kid a lot of credit that he was able to pick that off of me. But most people aren't that smart. So, I fell for it.
I think it's more important that you figure yourself out before you figure out the other players at the table. This way you can know your tells and fix it up, and then you work on picking up other players' tells.
And especially for someone like Mike, he plays a lot more hands than I do. So he really has to make sure that he does everything the same, because they're going to focus on him and they're going to look for something different. And because Mike probably plays, I don't know, no limit hold'em. I will say he plays 15 times more hands than I do. I decided years ago. What people don't understand is back in pre-2006, I was the most feared no limit player in the world. I was the most aggressive. I played every fucking hand. And once people learned bet sizing and people started learning, they started calling you down all the time. And I decided, what's easier, to play super tight and then open it up when the blind levels go up and they think you're a nit, or play super loose and when you get hands, you get paid, like Mike. And there's no way when I move in under the gun, Pat Lyons calls me with King Jack of spades, but because it's Mike the grinder, they're like, he doesn't have anything, and they call.
That was the second hand I played.
Right, I believe it.
I played 2 hands, Ace Queen and Ace King suited.
But they don't look at it that way. They just look at it as your image.
They look at my past.
Correct.
My image.
Correct.
It.
And
that's why when I'm in like in the money, I'm gonna have all the chips, and I'm gonna be in the best position to win the tournament.
Yeah. Well, it's like I told you. If you do what I did in 2007 and 2008, and all of a sudden you just change to a nitty where people are like, wow, Mike's so tight. They're not going to realize that. They're still going to think you're Mike the maniac, and they're going to pay you off. And that's why I made 4 WPT final tables in 07 and 08. Yeah. And then I realized.
Believe it or not, in this cash game I'm playing tonight, they said, I can't be so nitty, because last time I was nitty, and then you don't want really play it anymore. You know what I mean? So I have to mix it up where it looks like I'm giving a lot of action, but I'm not really not. You know what I mean? Looks like you're splashing, but you're not.
Mike and Nitty, something you never thought you'd ever heard. But what people don't understand is Mike's nickname, the Grinder, came from the fact that he used to play online and be so nitty. So,
actually, I was super nitty. I was like the nittiest player ever.
Are on calls. A lot of people, we missed phone calls. So we're going to call some people back and see what they have to say for me and Mike.
Let's do it.
Yes, am I live?
Yo, welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is Mike and Mike.
How you doing?
Hi, who's this?
My name is Cindy. I'm a big fan.
Oh, nice to meet you, Cindy.
Hi, Cindy. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good, and you?
We're doing good. You got some questions for me or Mike?
Yes, I do.
All right.
Okay. Do you think Tom Brady is gonna like come back?
What?
Do you think Tom Brady is gonna come back to play football?
Well, yeah. Why wouldn't he?
Because I heard on Facebook that he's gonna quit.
No, he's not gonna quit.
Okay.
No, he's not going to quit. It's like us. We ain't quitting poker. We're going to keep playing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
All right. Any other questions?
No, that's all.
We're out of here. Take care. Thanks for calling.
Okay. All right, bye.
Only on the Mouthpiece, ladies and gentlemen. Only on the Mouthpiece. Only on the Mouthpiece. Only on the Mouthpiece. Yeah. Only on the Mouthpiece.
Was Tom Brady supposed to be quitting football? Was he supposed to retire?
No. I think somebody was trolling us with a funny question. Just thought that we're just going to fuck with us. I don't know why I'm so fucking hot in this fucking house. That's why I got my towel.
You're in Vegas, bro.
All right, we got a call. Welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is Mike the Mouth with Mike the Grinder Mizrachi. How you doing?
Are you going to ask me if Dan Reeves coming out of retirement?
Am I going to who what?
I hope you're going to ask Dan Reeves to come out of retirement. Go ahead.
How's it going, man? Who we talking to?
This is Lonnie.
Lonnie, how's it going? Where you from?
How's it going, Lonnie?
I got a question. Best 3 tournament players you ever played with, both of you.
In No Limit Hold'em? Or
No Limit Hold'em. Best 3 tournament players.
I'm going to go.
So many.
I'm going to go.
And I'll tell
there's so many new ones, so it's tough for me. So
I'm going to tell you something. I went to Frank Casella's party, Mike, and then we asked Justin Bonomo, who's the best poker player in the world right now. He said Steven Chitwick.
Yes, that's what everybody keeps saying.
So
yeah, we kind of lost the guy, but we can answer that on without him having to be online. So yeah, that's what everybody says. I got him for $1. He proceeded to max late reds the 25K PLO and win it for $2.7 million.
He just came third in Venetian. I heard he won like the high roll last week, or came second at the Aria, and he won the 25K PLO. And then, it's always nice to play every tournament too. You know what I mean? You have somebody you're playing every event, so and it's a lot easier when players don't have families or children or a wife or you know what I mean. So you get to go around the world with just your mind is all about poker and making money. So. And you get to follow up with the game and study, you know what I mean? So it's much easier.
Name your 3.
I think
name your 3. Let's answer his question. Name your 3.
Yeah, because we got more calls.
Because we have more calls coming.
Name my 3 best players I play with. I mean, there's so many right now. I mean, I think Justin Bonomo.
Okay.
For sure is up there. I mean, off the top. I mean, No Limit Hold'em.
Yeah.
I don't, because Mike, I'm not around as much.
Yeah, it's really
really
tough
There's
for
so
me.
many names out there.
Yeah, so there's so many names for me too. But
yeah,
so
you know what I mean.
I
play with who else is good? Bucky Chewy was great.
Yeah, he's still great. He's still great.
Huh?
He's still great. So is Tom Marchese. Tom Marchese just won the Aria. You watch some of these players. Like I wish I could answer that because since I got sick in 2014, so that's 5 years, I've played no more than 2 no limit tournaments a year. So it's really tough for me to answer that. I played.
Yeah, me too.
I played the LAPC in February, in which I thought 2 people played better than me, and one was I think it's Jake Campbell, I think his name is, and he's unbelievable. I mean, how about what's his name that's made 13 WPT final tables? What's his name?
I wouldn't even know, brother, because I haven't played any poker tournaments for like a year.
Yeah, it's a tough answer for me. I mean, back in the day, Ivy was the best, but I don't know what I can say now, and that's just too tough.
Well, if you're looking for overall poker player, Ivy will be obviously in the category because he can play it. They can make that transition from tournaments to cash games and play every single game.
Right.
So that's what makes a great poker player.
I agree with you.
But you could be a great poker player if you stick to what you're good at. That makes
Right.
you a great poker player. But if you wanted to have all around best, Phil Ivey would definitely be one of the categories. For
Right.
sure.
We got another call. Welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is Mike the Mouth Matusow along with Mike the Grinder Mizrachi. How you doing today?
What's up?
I can't believe I got through, man. Huge fan.
All right.
One question for you. It's a really important question.
Okay.
Do you think Drew Brees is going to retire, or is he coming back?
That is
Mike, I love you, man.
fucking funny. How you doing,
Good
man?
luck, bro. I love you. Keep grinding, man. I love you guys.
All right, man.
Thanks
You
for putting
you got it, man. Take care.
You got it, bro.
That was that he had the clown on that other call we had. That was pretty funny. So yeah, all right. We're calling somebody back that really wanted to be called back.
Let's do it.
Yo, what's up?
Yo, welcome to the Mouthpiece.
What's up, bro?
Mike and
How's
Mike.
it going, guys?
Good, man. How's it going?
Live
Good.
here,
How you doing?
live here from Canada, Playground Poker.
What's your name?
I just have a couple of questions, actually.
What's your name? I need your name.
Richie.
Richie, how's it going, Richie?
Richie. I bought your book on Amazon, too, man. Big fan, man.
Thank you
I
so
just have
much.
a question about the whole full tilt thing. Is it just a conspiracy, or when I look at Phil Ivey's graphs, he never had a downswing?
Yeah.
Because you know what?
Somebody approached me
go ahead.
about that during the World Series.
Sure.
When David Benjamin was throwing around crazy conspiracies that it was all rigged for Ivy and Patrick to win all the money, to make them look invincible, I laughed and I said, the company's dropping $2.5 million a day. I don't think that's possible. After everything that's happened, I think it's very possible. That's all. That'll be my only comment on that.
Yeah, then like I said, I don't really want to get into it. Obviously, yeah, for sure. I know, I agree with what you're saying. But I have another question for you. Before I let you go. Honest to God, man. I mean, this is a random question. I'm not sure if you're going to remember this. But there was this one hand back in 04 or 05 between you and Dan Negreanu.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if they did it for TV, but they had like heart machines on you guys. Was there really machines on you guys?
I do remember that. Yes, they actually did. That was the showdown at the Sands.
That's what it was.
I'm going to tell you about that. That was the beginning. The beginning of 2004, because I remember it so well because that's when I had gotten set up by the undercover cop for doing nothing, and I had to be I had to be back for the arraignment in the morning, and I was at this final table, and there was one last flight out, and if I would have missed that, I would have probably had to do 10 years in jail. So the reason why I went broke in that event is because I made the flight home. If I didn't, we're all like, well, somebody's gonna have to help. I gotta get a private jet and fly a private jet home for the arraignment. But it was pretty funny. So I remember that tournament like it was yesterday. And I remember me and Daniel were two chip leaders and decided to both get our chips all in with 7-9 offsuit.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
and we ended up chopping the pot. So
you said you had a heart.
But next time you win, Mikey, I'm going to tell you something. Next time you win, Mikey, you got to yell vindication. The way that you jumped out of those chairs was, I think it was like some TV show. I think it was like the Heads Up match.
Yeah. No, that was when I won the Tournament of Champions. But you know,
it was epic. Your reaction, the way you jumped up from that chair, I must have rewound it like 15,000 times. It was pure.
You want to hear
awesome,
this?
Dude.
Yeah, I'll make you really laugh. So I was deep in the main event this year, and honestly, finishing 199th was a pretty big disappointment. I had a table that allowed me to control it without them knowing it. I had chipped up from 700 to 1.8 million and I don't think they knew how I did that because I didn't play any hands. I was just, talking with them, making them all laugh, which is what I do best. And then I open pots and I chip up, and they don't even know what hit them. But the thing is I was telling people, they're like, and I don't think about winning the main event. And I always tell people, you don't think about it until there's less than 100 people left and you got yourself about 50 big blinds. If you have 50 big blinds and less than 100 people left, you have as good a chance as anybody left in the tournament to win. So
100%.
I never even think about it. Even when I final tabled the last one, I final tabled in 05, I never thought I was going to win the main event until I flopped the king against Goofball's aces. That was the first time I would have had, people don't realize, I would have had 75% of all the chips in play, 8-handed. And that would have been the end of it. So, but it was funny you brought that up, because I said, if something crazy happens and I final table this and I win it, I take the bracelet, I throw it right out in the fucking street, and I tell the World Series and everybody in the poker world, go fuck yourself. Have a nice day.
Are you gonna yell punishment time though if you win again?
Well, when I win, if I win something like
it's punishment time, you slammed the table. It was awesome, dude.
Well, I wear my heart on my sleeve, and
dude,
back
as you should though, as you should.
The thing is when I had all the money in poker, I didn't just help people out. I staked everybody. I mean, I would take whatever.
I want to say though, Mike, I want to say this because it's very important. On the high stakes, those two big hands you won against Dan and Negreanu, the one with the kings,
Correct.
I just found that, I know that you guys are good friends, and obviously you don't even know me, but I just found that, he should have given you more credit when, I know he lost the hand, but it's I don't know, he seemed to always egg you on and say you're not playing any hands, and then you win two hands.
The whole time. Listen, everybody at the table knew I had kings full except for Daniel. The thing about, me and Daniel were arch enemies for the last 3 years. We hated each other. It was it was a mixture of politics and some money that I had borrowed.
And dildos being sent out too, dildos in the mailbox.
But he he loved my Blockers for Dummy video. He called me the day after he got married and he said some good things, that we'd be friends again, and then we had it was podcast number 10. I don't know if you heard it yet. It's a 2-hour podcast, and where we clear the air on everything, and me and Daniel are back being close like we used to be. So it was better.
That's great to hear, Mike.
Yeah, well, it was good for the poker world. There's no reason two people that people know really well.
I think Sean D took over your spot.
Yeah, he did. And it was so funny when I released Blockers for Dummies. Sean D tweeted out, "I've never followed anybody on YouTube, but this video is pure comedy gold." And then I said to him, "Well, don't worry, Sean. The next one's going to be better. It's about you." And then I released Markup Police, but I asked him, I go, "You don't get offended by anything?" He goes, "Oh, no." So he loved it. He thought it was
great
funny.
video, man.
So
the editing was amazing. Everything about
I appreciate it. We
really, really cool.
We got another phone call, so we got to go.
Yeah, no worries. And but one
one from Mike. You have one from Mike? Go ahead.
I got just one. Mike, just one question, man. What is your how you start your tournament? I mean, the way that you see things. I mean, you've won so many tournaments, high class player, amazing player. Do you ever get anxiety when you make a final table? Like actual physical anxiety?
No.
No, not at all.
No, though, when
I'm very.
Go ahead, Mike.
And I'm well prepared. When I'm on the final table, I come up. I actually go train all morning, and I'm feeling good at the final table. And when I'm at the final table, I have the biggest stack of the table. You'll see most of the tournaments when I get deep, I'm one of the biggest stacks in the tournament. So I'm always, I'm putting the pressure on other players and not worried at all. I feeling great.
Absolute beast, my friend.
Yeah.
Absolute beast. Guys, pleasure to talk to you guys.
You got it, man.
And
Thanks,
thanks
brother.
for taking my call. I really appreciate it, man. And
All
good
right.
luck to you guys, all right?
You got it.
Of course,
Take care.
brother. Same to you.
Take it easy, man.
Let's get at least one more. Okay, we got a guy we had to call back that really wants to talk to us. Fuck off if you don't like what I have to
Hello?
say. Oh, wrong number. We already called you. Sorry. Bye.
No, wait, hold on.
All right, bye.
Nigga.
Okay, that's the lady with the. That's
That's Tom Brady.
That's Tom Brady. Oh, that's right. Okay. Come on, man. Oh, I mean, what's going on there, editor?
Hello?
Yo, welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is Mike and Mike. How's it going?
Pretty good. I got
What's
a
going on,
question.
boss?
Can you guys maybe tell some stories about like physical altercations that occurred in either, earlier days in poker, or maybe some guys that were known for fighting, or any sort of interesting stories around that?
Yeah, okay. We can do that. I can tell you two. I don't know how many Mike has. One was with Sam Grizzle. We were playing 4 and 800. This was about 2000 and I'm going to go with 2004, maybe 2003. And Sam finally went broke in the game, and David Gray said, well, I guess the game's over. Sam Grizzle got up and punched fucking David Gray in the face. It was epic. It was epic. And then they were playing in Bobby's room, and Phil started some shit, Helmuth, and the guy got in Phil's face, and they were about ready to go to blows, and Phil goes, you better watch it, man. I know karate. And everybody just started laughing so hard that the fight got diffused, and nobody could quit laughing. And Phil gets up and goes, I know karate. It was the funniest shit ever. Those are the two that I can remember. But one of the actual funniest things from the old days that I can remember is with JRB. This is back around 2007, I think, in which JRB he was always broke and on the rail, and barring, I don't even know how he did it. He's the greatest poker story of all time. But we made a $10,000 bet, and it was based like when he got money, and he would get pumped up, and he'd always pay. And he had to do, I think it was 100 push-ups or whatever. Maybe it was less. 20. No, he had to do 20 push-ups. That's what it was. 20 push-ups. So he's like, for 10 grand. And so we clear the floor in the middle of the Commerce Casino. And he's like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And he's cruising, right? I'm just like, oh, man.
I think I was there.
Yeah, I think you might have been. And he gets to 16 and he's cruising. And I'm like, fuck. And now all of a sudden he gets to 17 and he's slowing up. And he gets to 18. And I'm like, this is funny. Because I'm like, he only has to do 2. And he struggles to 19. And he needs to do one more. And he gets all the way down. And he gets halfway. And he fucking dies and falls at 19 and a half. And it was probably the funniest thing I've ever seen in my poker life. So I beat him out of 10,000, and but it was just epic. You had to be there.
That's crazy. I thought even how many push-ups, Mikey? 20?
20.
Wow.
But if you remember JRB, how JRB used to be. So I just didn't think he could do 20.
Yeah.
I mean, even back then,
I bet you I could do the 200-300 push-ups right now for 10,000.
I bet you I could do 2.
We got him on video. Have him do it.
I said
hey,
2.
we got you on video. Hey, we have you on video for everybody. Let me see how much you can do. Hold on. Let's start the clock. Hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on.
How many can I do?
Wait, I'm going to put on a clock. Hold on. We're going to do on a stopwatch. We're going to give you 1 minute. So everybody out there want to see how many push-ups Mike can do in 1 minute? Let me know. What do you guys think?
I just trained today.
Okay,
but
hold on.
I'll do it again.
No, wait a minute. Here, let me get my stop.
What's the over on under on that?
Stopwatch is on. Okay, Mike, you have 1 minute.
1 minute?
1 minute. Everybody's keeping track. Mr. Editor Danny, you tell me how many he does. Ready?
Tell me when to start.
Ready, set, go.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18.
He passed JRB in 19 seconds. Keep going. Go. How many is he up to? 30. That's 1 per second. That's amazing. This is great. Go,
That
Mike,
was quick 40. That was 40.
Okay,
Stop
so you
at 40.
did 40 in 36 seconds. Pretty amazing, Mike. All right, let's hear it from Mike. Yeah. Now, do you guys want to see how many push-ups I could do in 36 seconds? The answer is
I'm gonna go with 9.
I'm gonna go with 1, maybe 2.
1?
Listen, I have not done. First of all, my back just got healthy, and I'm not going to try and then hurt myself. I got to go in slowly, but I could probably do. I'm going to be honest. I think I could do 5, maybe.
Yeah, 5, 30
but
seconds.
I'm not. But no, in like a minute. Oh yeah, 30 seconds.
Why don't you just do a plank?
What's that?
Just do a plank.
Yeah, I could do plank
for a
ones.
minute.
I do the ones, I just recently started working out a little bit, where my trainer kind of helped me from an upward position, which strengthens you a little bit. But no, I'll bet you by the next World Series, I'll be able to, hopefully. But I'm just happy to be out of pain, and so that's all that matters. All right, so we're going to pick up one more phone call, or... We good. Mike, you have to go?
Yeah, then my friends are calling because they're going to pick me up.
All right. So we're going to jump off the phone. We're going to say our goodbyes to Mike, the Grinder Mizrachi. Mike, anything else you want to plug for yourself?
No, not really. I'm just going to go. I'm actually going to go head to I'm leaving New Jersey next week for the fight, and I'm heading to Russia for the 88 tournament in Sochi. So I'm excited about that. It might be my first time in Russia. And then I'm looking forward to a nice trip, a nice vacation. And say hi to Sarah, everybody.
Yes, Sarah. Hi, Sarah. Put Sarah on video.
No, she can't hear you because I have the headphones on.
Yeah,
should I put the headphones on?
But
put the headphones on?
Yeah, we got it. That's Mike's fiance. We know she's hot,
hold on,
but she's nice.
Say hi to Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
Hey, Mikey, how are you?
What's up, Sarah? I've been a long time no see. I mean, I kept asking Mikey all summer, where's Sarah? She's in Florida. I go, how could she be in Florida? You guys are inseparable. But then I guess you were there.
We're not anymore.
You're not inseparable anymore? Well, that's what happens when you get engaged. You become not inseparable.
This is awesome. You're like perfect to do a podcast.
Yeah.
So much to talk about.
We do. We have a lot to talk about. We have fun on here. And, that's what we do.
Make sure to get all the juicy stories from Michael. He's been doing this for way too long.
Mike, she wanted to let everybody know she played the World Series.
Oh, yeah, Mike, I played my first event this summer, the tag team event.
She actually joined Danny Milwam's team and John Raciner.
And John Raciner, yeah.
And then she happened to be on my table. So we actually played against each other, and I lasted literally 4 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I got in good. Came Jack 8 rag. I had Jack 8. The guy called me on with 10. He's turned 10.
Yeah, story of my life. No limit hold'em. People never fold. So
she actually tripled up for Danny Milwam.
Yeah, I did.
I'm surprised.
I won 3 out of my 4 hands I played.
I'm surprised, Mike. You haven't taught her poker by now, for the extra income, since she had a really great high-paying job when she met you, and fucking you corrupted her, and now she's stuck depending on your income, which we know how that goes up and down.
He corrupted my whole life.
He did. I warned you, Sarah. I said, Sarah, run.
I'm stability. I can't do that roller coaster.
I know. I told you to run, but you fell in love, and once
you did, I know. I should listen.
Once you fall in love, it's kind of all over. Then you're at the. Well, you know how that goes. But when you weren't here all summer, Mikey, I asked it, "Are you guys okay?" Okay, I was worried. Oh no, we're perfect. Everything's great. And I was like, because you guys never went anywhere together. But
I was there like 3 weeks out of the World Series.
Yeah, the last 3 weeks.
So I had fun.
I didn't
had
even
a good
know.
time.
I didn't even know. Mike's too good for me now. He doesn't care about me anymore. He's in the.
I know he's getting nasty. And
well, that's what they do when they get, when they get pumped up, they get a little money. They forget who we are. Sarah, you know how it is, man. We have to do. We love Mikey, and
yeah, we do.
But my girl, Jerry, she has to deal with the same bullshit. Even But
she knows the life.
Yeah, she knows the life, but she hasn't figured it out yet. After 6 years, I'm like, everything's the same as it was 6 years ago.
Yeah, you have to. I always tell people you have to fully accept it.
Yeah.
And you can't try to understand it. Just accept it for what it is, and that's it. Because it's going to be too challenging.
Exactly. So my girl Jerry says, "You're 51 years old. When are you going to grow up?" And I said, never. I told you that when you met me. So I'm not going to change. And I don't think your Mike is growing up anytime soon either. So
yeah, pretty much.
Let me say bye to everybody.
Yeah.
All right, Mikey.
I love you, Sarah. Good talking to you. Good seeing you. Take care. All right. Well, Mike, I appreciate you coming on my first live episode of the Mouthpiece. Woo! And I appreciate it.
I'm glad to be a part of it, brother. Thanks for inviting me.
I will. And go win some money tonight, and stay safe, buddy.
Yeah, I'm tired of holding white receipts. Time to bring some green, baby. Let's go.
That's it. Green.
Green's coming in.
You got it.
All right,
you heard
guys,
it.
Take care.
Take care, buddy.
All right, bud.
All right.
Thanks, Mikey.
You got it, buddy. All right, guys. So there we go. We expected it to be 2 hours, our first live podcast, and it's 2 hours and 25 minutes, which is fine. We had 2 guests on. We got to hear a lot of different perspectives, and you got a good idea of what my last 5 or 6 weeks have been like. So with that in mind, again, we will be playing live tomorrow on Poker Go. It starts 2 p.m. Pacific, which on a 30-minute delay, it'll be 5:30 Eastern, 2:30 Pacific. I'll be playing with Randall Emmett tomorrow, Dario Sammartini, and I don't know how to pronounce the guy who won the main event, but they each won $16 million, and we're going to be playing 25-50 no limit. So it should be a big game that plays big, and hopefully I'll make a lot of money. So this is Mike the Mouth Matusow for Greg Fossilman Raymer and Mike the Grinder Mizrachi. Thanks for tuning in to our podcast, and we'll see you next week on the Mouthpiece.